Ladies and gentlemen, we finally made it, the Elite Classic, bringing you the game one of your, I guess it's a best of 3, third place match. Welcome, one and all, in the south side of the map, in the color yellow, playing as the Holy Roman Empire, his signature civilization, it's Beasty.
And to the north, also with his signature civilization, it is going to be, with the color blue, LucifroN as the French. 2 players who played the grand finals of the EGC-TV Golden League. Now they're facing off against each other here in the third place match. LucifroN being knocked down by Marine Lord himself, whereas Beasty lost out to be in the semifinals to get here.
So let's talk a little bit about this matchup. We spoke before about the French being favored here, but why exactly is it that they're favored here, Lidakor? Give us the rundown.
Well, it's interesting because, first of all, when Beasty has the HRE, is the French actually the favored civilization? But the thing I love about the French here in LucifroN's hands is how he can use his knights. That has been his trademark play for a couple of months now, using those small individual groups of knights to raid, and then playing into a 2TC build, getting that eco going, getting to Castle Age, and just not stamping, but stomping the opponent with the Royal Knights once he gets to Castle. That's probably the style that he wants to play, and he's one of the best players to do it. So one of the things that Beasty will have to look out for is that feudal age pressure coming from the Knights.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge impact for Beasty on the Holy Roman Empire. And that's part of the reason why the French are so good against the Holy Roman Empire, is because the Holy Roman Empire, they just want to get to the Castle Age. So there's a couple of things that we might see from Beasty today. So there is the prospect of a second town center build order that will come out today. He might look for just a couple of spearmen to get himself, safely up to that Castle Age, and then begin to look to move into those knights once he reaches the Castle Age as well. The key is going to be those relics, looking to try and secure those relics. So I think a big part of this is going to be how many knights do we see out of LucifroN before he looks to age up? Because I'd probably expect somewhere around that 7 to 8 number before that age up comes through. But we'll have to pay attention because the Archon Chapel is coming down right now. And what do you reckon about that Archon Chapel? I reckon that's a pretty decent size. He's also got the deer on the south side, which he could potentially push into that Archon Chapel as well.
Yeah, I was looking at the same thing. If he pushes the deer to the Archon Chapel, it's a lovely place, as we do have a very forward School of Cavalry here for LucifroN. We'll take a look at that in a second, but yeah, before that, here's the Archon Chapel. It's going to boost the gold, it's going to boost the lumberjacks, and as you mentioned, critically, once you push in the deer, it's also going to buff those. So, given the circumstances and given the map spawn, this is as good as it gets for Beasty.
Yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 spawn for Beasty. And it's at the back of his base as well, right? Like, this isn't at the front, this is at the back. This is about as you said, right? Like, this is about as good as it could possibly get for Beasty. And not to mention, the Archon Chapel touches the wood line, so it doesn't even have to make a lumber camp. Like, this is the perfect Holy Roman Empire spawn. I'm so impressed. But I guess one of the things we haven't talked about yet, LucifroN has gone for this front-facing deer pack, and we see him placing down on the very front of his base that School of Cavalry, which means he's going to have that extra 10 seconds, maybe 12 seconds before the knight gets to the enemy base that Beasty's not going to have accounted for unless he scouts this.
Yeah, that's a timing advantage. And don't forget, every second matters because, as you said, when you look at the opponent, when you look at pro players in general, they know their timings. They know fully well when the first knight is supposed to arrive. If it arrives a couple of seconds sooner, that is an element of surprise that could be exploited by the French player, and that's something that LucifroN is going to play into. Plus, let's not forget that he's been on the hunt throughout the entire Dark Age, so his food income compared to a French player that's on sheep only is also slightly better. It's going to make it a little bit easier to sustain that knight production here at the beginning of Feudal.
Now, one interesting thing to note that we're seeing out from Beasty is a wheelbarrow. A lot of people might look at this wheelbarrow and think, he's focusing on his economy. But that's not what it's about. It's that extra movement speed that may make the difference between him keeping a villager alive and that villager dying. So by getting this wheelbarrow, there's an element of greed to it, but there's also an element of safety to it. So a great investment coming through for Beasty here. Even before that first knight is out on the field, he's going to have that wheelbarrow complete. So really smart move here. And look at this, the deer were indeed getting pushed in, but LucifroN says, I'm not having it that way, my friend.
Yeah, wheelbarrow will help those villagers on the hunt now because they will have to walk a lot more than they would have had if the deer were pushed in. But Yeah, you mentioned this. He's going to play defensive. Not only the wheelbarrow as a sign of something that will help him escape with the villagers, but also defensive tower on the gold mine. Notice that he didn't finish the tower. He's waiting to see what LucifroN is doing before committing to it. Sees the knight, will finish the tower now. And he's also committing to spearmen. So he knows fully well that LucifroN is very good when it comes to controlling those knights. And he's going to respect that and play a very defensive game here at the beginning of Feudal.
Yeah, this is a really good call here from him to do that. You can see how passive he is, just anticipating this through. The knight coming through right now. Not going to even charge. Was that it? He managed to get a point-blank charge in on the single spearman. There's going to be another spearman that comes up the rear here, but he is outnumbered early on. This knight does a lot of damage to a single spear, and that was beautifully done. The micro from LucifroN right there. There's such an element of skill to that. Only he could pull something like that off.
Yeah, he is probably the single best Knight micro player in the game right now, and that's why the French is so dangerous in his hands. Beasty's got a lot of spears now, will repel the first Knight here. LucifroN, he's got a second Knight coming as well, but Beasty walled off the back of his base, so he's somewhat limiting the movement of LucifroN, making it much more difficult for LucifroN to get any villager picks.
Yeah, so for anybody wondering about why didn't the spearman brace there, the spearman needs a tiny little bit of setup time. And what happened was LucifroN actually got into physical distance from that spear, and instead of right-clicking the spear, what he does is he right-clicks the villager past the spearman, behind it, and so it begins charging that villager. But the spear, when you charge, you hit the first thing that you encounter. So he encounters that spear and immediately gets that extra damage. It's such a skillful little bit of micro, but it just so perfectly pulled off there by LucifroN. It's incredible that he gains so much value from that, because now Beasty, instead of making one spearman, or two spearmen rather, he has to go up to 4 spearmen here to defend against this.
Yeah, on the other side, LucifroN is committing to a couple of archers, so this is something that Beasty will have to account for. He's going to Horsemen to respond to that, but more importantly, Beasty will spot the stone being mined here by LucifroN. So he knows fully well that LucifroN is working towards the second TC, also spots the range, as we have Chivalry coming in here quite early for LucifroN. Only 4 knights on the field, 7 minutes 20 seconds, and we already have Chivalry coming in.
Yeah, this is quite early to be getting the Chivalry upgrade. Sometimes you even see players skip it unless there's a good reason to get it. But let's take a look at the base of Beasty, because often when we talk about booming, we talk about a second town center. Yet here we see Beasty doing something quite interesting. He's picking up all of the tier 1 upgrades for the Holy Roman Empire, and he's also throwing down farms, which is a very safe play, because he's not investing all those extra resources into the second town center, which is very much a strong investment. He's just kind of playing it a little bit safely with that, and I like that.
Yeah, the return of investment on those eco upgrades is much quicker than what you get from the second TC. You have to mine a lot of stone and get a lot of wood to get the second TC up. Then you have to build it, which consumes a lot of villager time. Then, of course, you have to start pumping out villagers, and then those villagers have to justify the investment that you made. Compare that to the eco tax. Beasty is going to get an immediate return from it. And also, combine that with the power of the Aachen Chapel, you get a juggernaut economy. And last but not least, you mentioned the farms. The thing I love about it is that one of the most dangerous times for a player to be in is when you transition to farms. If that happens in the middle of Castle Age when you are just sending armies against each other, this could be a little dicey, but TC should go up here. Yep.
Hold on, I just had a thought. Is Beasty going to go for a Burgrave here? The reason why I'm thinking this is he's just collected all the gold that he needs to age up now, and I suspect he's going to move all of the villages that he's got over onto those deer down to his base, and indeed, he's gone for it right now. Look at the villages that he's got. This is 2350 food. That's a huge amount of food. He only needs another 900 to age up. There is a world where he potentially looks for a Burgrave. I know it's kind of crazy, and it's definitely not his style, but it could be a bit of a weakness, considering LucifroN has gone for that second TC.
I love it. I would love if he did that, because he's got the farms. When you look at the Burgrave, it's a building that consumes so much food. If you don't have a consistent food income for a long time, it's not going to work. But he built the farms. If he goes for Burgrave right now, he will be able to pressure LucifroN's base. Don't forget, the production buildings are on the front, so if LucifroN loses this ground, he will have his production buildings burnt down. And Beasty won't run out of food quickly because he does have a consistent farming eco, and he also has the deer to work with. I think, as you said, the Burgrave is actually a better choice here than the Ragnitz.
But he is going to go for the Regnits. Beasty notoriously hates the Burgrave. You know, he often talks about it as a bit of a meme landmark. And it's no surprise here that he opts for the Regnits. But I think had anybody else been in this position, the Burgrave definitely could have been a consideration here for him. So he'll be looking to try and pick up relics early on in this game. Keep in mind, he's got that one safe relic that he'll be easily able to pick up, and those 3 contested ones in the middle of the map he'll be looking for. But now that age up comes through, LucifroN scouts it out with his scout and the Knights in front of the base. We begin to see the upgrades coming through for Beasty, opting for ranged armor.
Yeah, he's going to play a longer game over here, which is not unprecedented. He loves his late game scenarios. He doesn't want to commit to a semi-all-in style play like a Burgrave. But, of course, when you play into the Regnits, you have to secure those relics. And it will be a little challenging when you have so many Knights and Archers roaming the map. So he's going to have to be careful with this. Stables will be spotted here by LucifroN. But Beasty, once again, quick to react, pulls away the villagers, and he's yet to lose a single vill in this game.
He's done really well at keeping everything alive. LucifroN, notorious for his micro, always able to find a way into the enemy base. And yet Beasty's just been a bastion of defense. Really well played so far. And now we start to see walls coming up on each of these relics across the map, trying to prevent Beasty from picking them up. But we've got a counter raid coming through. Beasty going to be the first one to take out villagers this game, as we do see, oh, there's some low health villagers in there, but none of them do go down.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Horsemen compared to the Knights. You can surprise your opponent, but unless you get a good surround, or unless the villagers are heavily exposed, you will not get the kill. The Knight might get taken down here by the tower. It's so low of HP. Spearman will chase it down. I think, yeah, LucifroN is not looking. He's going to lose the Knight.
That's a big loss, because he's got chivalry, right? Like, you give him 3 minutes and that Knight comes back a full man. That's a sad state of affair to be a Knight right there, but we continue to see more upgrades coming through for Beasty. Look at the upgrades that he's getting through right now. We've got marching drills coming in, picking up veterancy on the Spearman. He is playing a really solid Holy Roman Empire game right now.
His scout is low HP. He's got to be careful not to lose it. That vision is so valuable. He's being pursued by Knights. Should get away in time. He's got 14 spears, by the way, and he's gotten marching drills, as you said. So we're getting to the stage where he could start mixing in maybe a couple of men-at-arms. And with that many spears, plus a couple of men-at-arms to deal with the archers, this could be a deadly force against what LucifroN has right now.
Yeah, the attack comes in. He manages to get some decent shots off on a Knight, or rather on a Horseman. There's a distinct lack of Horsemen right now for Beasty. He's got 6 on the field, but none being seen here. But the veteran Spearmen just don't care. They just move towards the front. The Prelate's coming out to help as well. Look at the heals coming in right now. He is really moving towards his central position. The walls have come up for LucifroN. The Villager does stand by idly, but the Knights are now out for Beasty as well. Keep in mind, these are Castle-Age Knights, not those Feudal-Age Knights. These guys have been to the Academy. They've got their upgrades. These guys, they mean business.
Fight in the middle. I think the Knights charged in, but they don't have any archer support now. This is only Knights against the upgraded Spearmen. LucifroN's got Feudal Age Knights. Obviously, these are French Knights, but they still won't stand a chance against Castle Age upgraded HRE Men-at-Arms. Or Spearmen, beg your pardon.
Yeah, really good call. You know, I got to compliment Beasty right now. He is playing out of his mind. He's playing really well. Another raid comes through on the other side. He's picked up 4 villager kills this game, and that's going to increase as the Wallalo comes down in the middle of the map. Looks like he's not going to be able to find any units. A couple of Knights do go down, though. But meanwhile, behind this, 9-10 villager kills. LucifroN, he's in trouble at the moment. Beasty is feeling really good about this game for sure.
This is as good as it gets. He's slaying the Knights. Heavy damage done there, and look at that, villagers got slain. I think LucifroN was just focusing on a micro in the middle of the field, lost all the villagers on the gold mine. He's down 13 vills and will tap out.
No way, that is incredible. Beasty with an unbelievable victory that early in the game. That is not seen before. You do not see the Holy Roman Empire beating the French in 14 minutes in the Castle Age. Incredible stuff right there from Beasty. Just completely outplays LucifroN.
I loved it. I loved every single moment of it. It's not like LucifroN played bad. He's brought up some very intriguing strats with the forward buildings, the straight-up deer play. But as you said, Beasty played an immaculate game, and especially that second raid that decided everything. Villager count just collapsed for LucifroN, and Beasty was also able to secure all those relics. What a game by Beasty. We talked about this prior to this game. Both players brought in arguably their favorite civilizations, and Beasty emerges on top, puts him right on match point here in this best of